If you think bloodthirsty, man-eating sharks are the scariest creatures in the ocean, think again, because what's lurking below might just freak you out. Before your next dive, you may want to consider what else is swimming in those waters. From cannibalistic crabs to superpowered, ultraviolet shrimp, here are the 15 most dangerous crustaceans in the world. Number 15, brown crab, Cancer pagurus. Lurking along the seafloor around the British Isles, the brown crab keeps beachgoers on edge when they dare to wade into the waters. This creepy crustacean is the largest crab species in Europe, typically reaching about 20 centimeters in size. However, some can grow to a monstrous 30 centimeters across and weigh up to 9 pounds, roughly the size of a newborn baby. With 8 legs and 2 powerful claws, its pincers can deliver a crushing force of up to 90 pounds per square inch, 4 times stronger than the grip of a human hand. These sneaky crabs hide beneath seaweed or around rocks, lying in wait to ambush their prey. They're cannibalistic and will eat practically anything they come across, from other crabs to dead sea creatures and shellfish. Also known as the edible crab, this species is a favorite on dinner plates, but perhaps that's why it fights back with such ferocity. Number 14, coconut crab, palm thief. If you're ever on an island in the Asia-Pacific region and come across a giant crab offering you a friendly handshake, think twice. The coconut crab's claw is strong enough to crush your fingers with 10 times the power of a human hand, boasting the most intense grip of any crustacean on Earth. Its crushing power makes other crabs look weak in comparison. This massive crab can lift up to 60 pounds, about the weight of a small child, so a hug from one is definitely off the table. It can easily crack open coconuts, so your squishy hands don't stand a chance. Fortunately, its monstrous size makes it hard to miss. Weighing around 9 pounds, with a length of 16 inches and legs spanning nearly 3 feet, the coconut crab isn't exactly hiding behind your beach bucket. Number 13, mantis shrimp. A shrimp might sound harmless, but the mantis shrimp is anything but. Known as the thumb splitter, this crustacean is no timid cousin to your average shrimp. Handle one of these mini monsters, and you might regret it. Growing between 4 to 8 inches and living for 3 to 6 years, these brightly colored creatures thrive in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, particularly around coral reefs, where they enjoy both protection and an endless buffet of prey. Mantis shrimp hunt fish, other shrimp, and crabs using shockingly violent techniques. With over 400 species, they're classified into 2 terrifying groups, smashers and spearers. Smashers wield a club-like appendage called a dactyl club, capable of striking with the force and speed of a bullet, up to 50 miles per hour, literally smashing prey into bits. On the other hand, spearers have sharp, barbed appendages they use to skewer their victims like a living kebab. Despite their small size, their immense power allows them to take down prey much larger than themselves. Let's just hope they don't turn their sights on humans. Number 12, pistol shrimp. This tiny crustacean may not look fearsome, but the pistol shrimp packs a serious punch. Also known as the snapping shrimp, it has a secret superpower. Look closely, and you'll notice its front claws are different sizes, with one sometimes growing to be half the size of the shrimp's body. That oversized claw is the key to the pistol shrimp's incredible strength. When hunting, the shrimp opens a chamber in its large claw, allowing water to fill inside. Then, with a quick squeeze, it blasts the water out with such force that it creates bubbles moving at 60 miles per hour. These speeding bubbles are powerful enough to stun or even kill its prey. As the bubbles burst, they create a loud snapping sound. One species, aptly named Synalpheus pinkfloydi, produces bubbles reaching an ear-shattering 210 decibels, louder than a gunshot. The pistol shrimp's superpower is so impressive that it even inspired Jamie Foxx's character in Netflix's Project Power, where his ability to unleash a pulse of destructive energy was based on this very shrimp. Maybe being called a shrimp isn't such an insult after all. Number 11, Chinese mitten crab. The Chinese mitten crab, with its furry claws, may look a little comical at first. After all, mittens aren't exactly terrifying attire. But don't let the appearance fool you. These invasive crustaceans are up to no good, earning them a spot among the most dangerous in the world. Native to China, Japan, and Korea, these hairy-clawed creepers have spread across the globe. Whether farmed for food or stowing away in ship ballasts, they've managed to invade new waters. Why is this a problem? For starters, they gather in massive groups and burrow into riverbanks, causing severe damage. Their tunneling has even led to levees breaking in some areas. That's some dangerous digging. And if that wasn't bad enough, the Chinese mitten crab can carry the oriental lung fluke, a parasitic flatworm waiting for an unsuspecting human to consume a slightly undercooked crab. Once ingested, the fluke invades the human body, hatching and living in the lungs. Yes, it's as horrifying as it sounds. Number 10. Crayfish. Crayfish, crawfish, crawdads, mudbugs, yabbies, whatever you call them, these clawed crustaceans may seem harmless, even delicious, and not something to lose sleep over. But that changes if you've ever had a bad one. While most species aren't too dangerous, there's one kind of crayfish that sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction horror movie. Meet the marbled crayfish, a species that appeared by accident in a German aquarium in 1995. Since then, it has been spreading across Europe and Africa, threatening native species and wreaking havoc on ecosystems. What makes the marbled crayfish so terrifying? Its ability to clone itself, no mates required. In just 2 short decades, this all-female species has multiplied uncontrollably, reproducing rapidly and taking over entire environments. This crayfish's cloning capability has turned it into an unstoppable force, making it a real-world horror story for ecologists. You might not be seeing them in your nightmares yet, but the marbled crayfish is already a living nightmare for the ecosystems it invades. Number 9. Japanese spider crab. A lot of the fear surrounding the Japanese spider crab comes from its sheer size. These are the largest crabs in the world, with 10 legs spanning up to 12.5 feet and weighing almost 44 pounds, big enough to make you wonder if they could eat a child. But before you panic, let's take a closer look at these underwater giants. Masters of camouflage, Japanese spider crabs live at depths of 500 to 650 feet, using materials around them to cover their shells and blend into their environment. This stealthy adaptation likely explains their impressive lifespan, with some living up to 100 years or even longer. Despite their intimidating appearance, these crabs aren't much of a threat. They are scavengers, feeding on decaying plants and animal remains on the ocean floor, and are more likely to be hunted by octopuses or stingrays than to hunt anything themselves. However, there are plenty of legends surrounding these creatures, and while they may not actively kill humans, they have no issue feasting on any dead bodies that sink to the ocean floor. This macabre habit has earned them quite the reputation among sailors. But in reality, the Japanese spider crab is just doing its part in cleaning up the ocean. Let's give these giants a break. They're not the monsters they're made out to be. Before we continue, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Number 8. American lobster. You've definitely heard of the American lobster, and you've probably seen one, maybe even had one boiled and dipped in butter at a fancy restaurant. But there are some fascinating facts about this iconic crustacean that might surprise you. Aside from its distinctive appearance, with an exoskeleton worn on the outside, lobsters shed their old shells and grow new ones as they expand. But that's just standard crustacean behavior. The American lobster has some bizarre, almost alien-like abilities. If it damages one of its 10 legs, no problem, it simply discards the broken limb and grows a new one. Now, here's where it gets really weird. Lobsters have teeth, but not the kind you might expect. Their teeth are located inside their stomach. And to make it even stranger, their stomach is in their mouth. So, while you won't see your dinner smiling back at you, the anatomy of a lobster is far more than what meets the eye. It's definitely more than just a tasty treat. Number 7. Mud crabs. Found in mangroves, swamps, creeks, and estuaries throughout Australia, Asia, and Africa, the mud crab, or Scylla serrata, is highly prized for its delicious meat. Fishermen and foodies seek them out, but catching these crabs comes with its own dangers. Wading through mud flats and mangroves teeming with crabs, and sometimes crocodiles, is risky business. Mud crabs bury themselves just beneath the surface of the mud, settling in for the long haul and certainly not welcoming intruders. The muddy, shallow water makes them hard to spot, so watch your step. If a mud crab feels threatened, it'll use its gigantic claws and sharp pincers to defend itself, and they can do some serious damage. Once a crab locks onto you with its claw, it might not let go, even if the crab decides to drop the claw and make a run for it. Mud crabs have the ability to detach a claw to escape predators and then grow a new one later. It's a neat trick, but if you're the unlucky one with a crab still latched onto you, you'll be left with a painful crab claw accessory. Number 6. Floral egg crab. Known by names like the floral egg crab or shawl crab, Atargatis floridus may look harmless with its smooth shell and pretty markings, but it's hiding a deadly secret. Found in Southeast Asia and Australia, this small mud crab is far more dangerous than it appears. If you've heard of puffer fish, you know they contain a lethal toxin called tetrodotoxin, which is 1,200 times more deadly than cyanide. So, what does this have to do with a crab that looks like it's wearing your grandmother's shawl? Well, the same deadly poison is stored in this crab's legs. Eat one of these innocent-looking creatures, and you're in serious trouble. So, as we hit number 6 on our list, take this as a warning: never eat a puffer fish, lick a toad, or, in this case, munch on the legs of a floral egg crab. Number 5. Remipedia. Imagine a swimming centipede. That's what the Remipedia looks like. This small, blind cave dweller might not seem threatening, but don't be fooled. Speleonex tulumensis, found mainly in the pitch-black underwater caves of Central America and Mexico, has a particularly gruesome way of catching and eating its prey. Prepare yourself, this is stomach-churning. The Remipedia uses its fangs to inject its prey with a lethal mix of enzymes and neurotoxins. First, these paralyze the victim, then they liquefy its insides into a digestible sludge, which the Remipedia simply slurps up, leaving behind the shell and any leftover fish bits. Told you it was disgusting. While gross, you have to admit it's a clever adaptation. Venom ensures this little wriggler can paralyze and capture its meal despite being blind and not having much physical strength. Ruthlessly efficient. But don't worry, these creatures are rare, and scientists who want to study them have to undertake risky dives deep into underwater caves to even catch a glimpse. So, no need to fear running into one at your local swimming spot. Number 4. Mosaic reef crab. Now we're getting to the pointy end of this list, featuring some truly terrifying crustaceans you never knew existed. First up is Singapore's most poisonous crab. Who knew crabs could be poisonous? This toxic terror thrives among coral reefs and along the shores of Singapore, China, Indonesia, Japan, Thailand, Australia, Vietnam, and French Polynesia. With its bold orangey-red color and distinctive speckled white mosaic pattern, this crab stands out. It's another hairy-legged species, measuring about 3 to 4 inches with short pincers. The truly scary aspect of this crab isn't its size or the intimidating glare it may give you, it's the deadly poison it possesses. Considered one of the most toxic crab species on the planet, it's best to steer clear of this one. Numerous documented deaths have been attributed to this crab, which contains lethal neurotoxins that cooking won't eliminate. Remarkably, it seems to accumulate these toxins from its favorite snack, poisonous sea cucumbers. Yes, you read that right. Enjoy this crab? I wouldn't recommend it unless you're keen on a deadly experience. Number 3. Curry puff crab. It sounds like a delicious Indian snack, but think again. The curry puff crab, or Platypodia granulosa, not only resembles our old nemesis, the floral egg crab, but it also shares some of its deadliness. This crab is another member of Singapore's notorious death club. Its name comes from its resemblance to a curry puff, but that's where the similarities end. While it's true that this brown-shelled crustacean isn't venomous, so it can't literally bite you and do you in, it is poisonous. These crabs are especially talented at camouflage, making them tricky to spot. If you have any allergies, it's a tough call since you're unlikely to encounter one of these creatures in a safe environment to test those allergies. Therefore, it's best not to touch a curry puff crab. As long as you keep your cool and don't confuse it with its namesake, you will probably survive. Just be careful not to choke on your curry puff. Number 2. Emerald crab. Next in our catalog of killer crabs is the emerald crab. Don't be misled by its pretty name or glossy green color. This crab is packed full of noxious toxins. Found in the warm tropical waters of the Caribbean Sea, the emerald crab, or Mithraculus sculptus, spends its time feasting on algae and scavenging seabed debris. While it has a striking alien green hue, don't even think about tasting this little crustacean. It's loaded with the same deadly blend of neurotoxins that we've seen in other members of the death crab gang. However, if you can resist the temptation to nibble on one of these creatures, keeping an emerald crab in your aquarium is like having an always-on-duty garbage collection service. Just a thought. Number 1. Saw-etched spooner crab. This crustacean has a name with mixed messages. Its saw-etched characteristics might make for uncomfortable spooning, but let's move swiftly past that weird image and dive into some cool facts about the dangerously named saw-etched spooner crab. This creepy crustacean inhabits coral reefs in Asia, including Singapore, the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and stretches out toward Papua New Guinea and New Caledonia in Oceania. It's not the largest crab, measuring only about 6 inches, but its spiny, lumpy, and spiky appearance certainly makes it look more menacing than most. The saw-etched part of its name refers to the teeth that run along this sea creature's legs and claws. I don't know about you, but stepping on one of these sharp-edged crabs sounds pretty painful. To make matters worse, the insides of the saw-etched spooner crab are poisonous to humans. Perhaps the biggest danger this crab poses is that it can resemble other, distinctly more edible crabs. Confusion can be deadly in the perilous world of toxic sea monsters disguised as harmless seafood. So keep your wits about you, especially when you're around these sharp and pointy crustaceans. If they don't saw you to death with their edges, they might just take you out with their lethal insides. These creatures should definitely come with a warning label. Well, it's surprising how many seemingly innocent crustaceans are out to kill or seriously wound other ocean dwellers, isn't it? How do you feel about this dangerous crustacean information? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other cool content showing up on screen now, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating discoveries. See you next time.